The new found set portals feature in FileMaker 17, or master detail layouts as FileMaker Incorporated refers to it, can also be used to create pickers or choosers. A picker is a layout-based substitute for pop-up menus that offers greater WAM performance, better features, and more flexibility. And developers have been using them for years. But in FileMaker 16 last year, they were simplified with the window card feature, which we'll show you to remind you about it. What we're going to show you today, the focus of what we're trying to demonstrate, is how FileMaker 17 offers an alternative to the pickers that people used to do in the old days and what they do in 16 with window cards. It's just an option. It gives you more flexibility because you can do it in many different ways. If you haven't watched my video introducing found set portals, it's probably a good idea to start there because I'm not going to cover the basics. So what we're going to do is click on this little button here and add related contacts into here. But before we do that, let's switch to our window card feature. And this is the same file I demonstrated to folks in FileMaker 16. We have an invoicing solution, and a pretty common thing to do with an invoicing solution or any table is to add a foreign key. And I want to add the foreign key for a contact here. And the typical way to do it is to choose from a pop-up menu. And you've got some basic features here. You can scroll up and down. You can use typehead and things like that. But I've got a script trigger built into here. When I hit tab, it's going to go ahead and pull up this window card. And you can see how much more flexible it is. I can type in letters and filter this list down. I could put any kind of feature in here I want. I can put multiple fields, lots of stuff in here. I could do rollovers. There's so much more flexibility here. And then when I choose it, it simply does the same thing as it puts that value in there. So that's one cool way to do that. And remember, window cards, one of the advantages here, we'll go ahead and take this out again and hit the tab key and pull it up again. Notice how it dims out the background. And it gives you what is considered a modal dialogue within another window. It's not modal to the whole application. So we want to analyze how it works to see what the advantages and disadvantages are. So, we've got this little thing that pops up and grays out the background. It's pretty cool. It gives you, focuses the attention right there. So it's a pretty neat little feature. Now we'll switch back to the 17 file I've been demonstrating a lot of these features in. It's a basic contact manager, and I want to relate a contact here. So if I click this button, I can come in here and notice that John Osborne's not in there when I type in OS. It filters that out, and I can click on it and puts it in there. And I can do another one. I can come in here and choose anybody I want and add as many related contacts as I want. Now that's done in Managed Database using a many-to-many relationship. There's a table between one occurrence of contacts and another, and I put the two foreign keys in here, and that's what the scripts handle. Amongst other things, they handle a lot of things, but we're going to take a look at that. So let's start by looking at that layout. So we'll go over here to our picker, and you'll see it's a really basic layout. It's got a global field for searching, and it's got a current table or found set portal here. Very simple, not very complicated. If we take a look at this, it's going to be a script trigger that runs on object modify filter. So if we look at that, it's not very complicated. It simply turns set error capture on, because I'm going to capture some errors down here. I don't want them to appear. Enter find mode. Take whatever's in X search. Remember, X search is that little field right there, that global field. Makes a new record, omits the current record. In other words, if I was on John Osborne, I would have had that value. You'll see inside this script that there's the picker script that I declared $$ID1 as that current record. I want to exclude that from the found set because I don't want to attach myself to myself. It doesn't make sense. And then it performs a find, checks for errors. If there was no criteria, what I want to do is show all records. So there's a simple script in here that says, hey, exclude everybody but $$ID1 except, in other words, the current. I could have shown all records, but I want to see John Osborne. I don't want to see me if I'm the current record. So I had to make this script that would go ahead and show all records, excluding the current contact. And then it goes back to the field. So it's very simple what it does. It just keeps looping, or it just keeps running over and over again. And it doesn't look like it's running when you're typing in there, because if we're in browse mode, we come in here and start typing, you'll see that I can type naturally if I want. So it's a pretty cool little feature. Not really new to FileMaker 17, but you need to understand that to understand how this picker works. So you can put any kind of filter you want on here. Anything that performs a find will change this found set portal. Now the script that does the selection is simply a pause resume script. Simply resumes a script. You'll see why in a second why I did that, because I wanted to keep this window open. It's not a window card, which that's one of the cool features about a window card, is that it's going to go ahead and be modal to that window. Whereas with this, I guess I could do a window card and put in that, but I wanted to demonstrate with just a simple little window here. I didn't want to include window cards and say you don't need window cards to do this. You could do it on itself, but you could combine the two features and take the best of both worlds, which you'll see in a second what these found set portals will offer you. So we'll come over here and take a look at this script right here, the one that's running right there. That's called the picker. You commit the records. We set the object left and object top to where the button is. That's how I get that window to show up right next to that button. I go ahead and store those values inside some variables. I then set the $ID1 to the current record, to John Osborne or whoever you're looking at. Then I create a new window, and you can see the object top and the object left, and I offset it a little bit here. I go to that picker layout. I hide the menu bars. Simple stuff. I initialize this X search global field, adjust it to be smaller, so then at this point it'll be right next to that little button right there in a little small window. I then perform my script show all records, so everything's showing minus the current record. I go to the X search field, so it's prepared to type, so you can type right when you get in there. And then I pause. So that's the reason why that button inside of that picker, the found set portal, is just to continue, because when it continues it does the rest of this. And the reason I do that is because then it locks that window right there. It's just an old-fashioned way of making sure that people don't go ahead and get out of your interface. So next what we do is we set a local variable to ID2. That will be the one we just picked. We go to the related layout, just a simple layout, nothing special about it. The user will never see it. Create a new record, put the two values on there so we link up the join, right? That's the join table, the one that's called related, and then we close the window. It's as simple as that. Now I also have a script in here called close window, because what if you come in here and then just close the window like that? I don't want the script to be running right here, because remember it was pause. So in file options, if you take a look in there, under the script triggers we have on window close, run the close window script, which simply closes the window and then halts the script so it doesn't transfer to the window behind it. That would be a problem. So you can see this is a pretty cool little feature here as far as allowing you to go ahead and have different options. I think what people will do is not just use the picker in this format, the simplified format. I think people will mostly combine it with the window card feature, so you don't have to have a list view for the window card to do a picker. Then you can have all kinds of additional flexibility.